Hey, this is Flux with Fluxwithit.com, and we're here with Delptronics. And Delptronics has some new stuff that we're going to check out. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you guys are first and what you've been doing?
Sure. Well, I'm Mickey Delp, the Delp of Delptronics, and we do a lot of weird stuff. So we make Eurorack modules, but we also make a lot of standalone devices, stomp boxes, effects pedals, like all kinds of cool stuff, and including drum machines, which is my favorite.
Excellent. So you guys have this big arcade button looking thing. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a pretty crazy thing. It came out of our work making interactive music displays for Children's Museum in Austin. And this is a standalone proof of concept of what we could do. So we've actually taken this out to South by Southwest, Maker Faire, all over the place, and people have responded really well to it. And what they keep saying is, I want one. So now we're going to make a retail version of this that's for the home market, and it basically we want to keep that walk up and play, ease of use, but we'll also put a couple extra features so you can use it as a MIDI controller.
So this thing is basically a step sequencer with 4 drums, and then you can select which drum is on each track?
It's got 3 drum tracks and a pitched track. So yeah, and you select which drums, so kick, snare and hi-hat if you want, the standard rock and roll. But you can pick different instruments, and you can select different instrument for the pitched one as well.
Are they sample based, or are they analog? What are they?
It's wavetable based.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this similar to your other things like the Little Drummer Boy and things like that?
It's a little different. The Little Drummer Boy is our analog drum machine. And that's, goes back to the roots. That's all analog, no samples in there, nothing digital. So this is just about playability, and so we're not concerned with being retro and cool. We just want some cool sounds to play with.
So can you describe the button functions on here for us?
Oh yeah, sure. So it's a step sequencer. I'll just hit clear, so you can see the flashing light going through. So if I just want a kick drum on step 1 and a snare on step 5, and then throw in some hi-hats, it's rock and roll right there. Let's say put in some guitar riffs. And that's it. It's easy as that, and you're making music.
That's awesome, and it's just very playable and fun.
Exactly. Literally, 5-year-old kids walk up and figure this thing out in like 30 seconds.
So when you do come to release this, will the build quality be similar? Or are you going to be using like actual genuine arcade parts, or how does that work?
Well, see, we have to.
Are they like Sanwa, or?
No, they're not Sanwa. They are knockoff.
Okay, I got it.
But they are good quality. This thing has been beaten on by hundreds of kids.
Okay.
So, yeah, we couldn't veer away from that and have it be the same thing.
Is this the actual unit that was in, for the kids playing on?
This is the very one, and it still works perfectly. But it's made of steel and walnut, and I think, we'll go with aluminum and pine. Take it down a notch, but still big, colorful buttons. That's what makes it what it is.
That's very cool. What else do you have here today that you can show us?
Well, another thing, I was telling you about the wavetable MIDI chip that's kind of the heart of the sounds in this. We have 2 other products that use that. This little box that we came up with the inventive name, the MIDI Inaudi out, because that's what it does. I've got that hooked up to an Arturia BeatStep Pro, and basically all I have to do...
I'm going to get separate audio.
That's cool. So the sequencer's just putting out MIDI, like any MIDI controller, and this converts the MIDI to sounds. So no, you can't load your own samples into it, and it's not that. It's a tiny $100 box that makes all the general MIDI sounds, including some pretty kick-ass sounding drums built in.
So you could just plug up any MIDI controller and just
anything, yeah. And you don't need to haul a laptop around just to have some extra sounds.
So this is using general MIDI, so the mappings are already known.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I've got my my BeatStep setup, so these knobs change the do program change. So now it's a different instrument. So it makes it that easy.
Very cool. What are some of these pedals that you have here?
Well, like I would mention before, we make modules and we make standalone versions of the same thing. So like we have a hand clap module and a cowbell module, and then we have standalone hand clap in a stomp box format. DJs love this thing. Yeah, it's really cool. Oddly, bass players totally dig it because you can just step on it and throw in the claps. But it's got a lot of cool knobs to tweak the sound. I like the crunchy knob. Get into that Commodore 64 video game sound. And we got our cowbell and a cowbell.
So you're telling me that you guys put more cowbell in our cowbell?
Yes, we actually put more cowbell in the cowbell.
It's the cure to the fever. That is genius.
This even has a built-in speaker and amp, so you're self-contained. You can have cowbell everywhere you go.
I'll be honest with you, I think I found my Christmas ornament for next year.
Yeah.
Like that's going on the tree. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. So, and what are these pedals that we have down here?
Like I said, man, we do everything. So we do an effects pedals. This one we were actually showing for a while. It's now in production. This is designed by Delptronics for Warmstar. So it's sold and marketed by another company, but it's got our name on it, so we're showing it off. And it's a beautiful low-pass filter with LFO. Very expressive pedal, a lot of knobs to tweak the sound. You get like classic wah effects, all the way up to like really synthy kind of sounds. The LFO goes into audio rate, so you get some amazing FM synthesis stuff happening. And this is a distortion, the Electric Eel. It's a brand new distortion effect. And since I'm all into the drums, I was trying to build a distortion effect that would work well with drums. And a classic like clipping distortion doesn't work because it only distorts the very beginning of a percussive sound. And I needed a distortion that distorted the entire waveform.
Like saturate the whole thing?
And this does, and it sounds totally crunchy and amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like something that I would use. Yeah, that's something that I'm very into. And you guys brought some modules?
Yes, we did. And so your compatriot is playing with them right now.
We've got William McKnight of Sonic Expansion over there, and he's having a tweak right now, having some good times with it. So
he's deep into it. He's playing with our Triggerman sequencer, which we've had out for a few years, our best seller. I think a lot of people know that one. And he's also playing with the new version of the little Drummer Boy drum modules, which has got like crazy expansion now. You can control the pitch of every instrument.
Oh, nice.
And the decay on your hi-hats and kick. And the pitch control is both knob and CV. And it's still really tiny. Only 6 HP.
And what's the name on that? That's the LDB2?
LDB2.
Yeah. Excellent. And they're priced at $195.
$195.
And then you have the expansion, and that's another $125.
$125, yeah.
That's excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just the bass module, along with our trigger sequencer, is a drum machine right there.
Absolutely. Excellent.
We're also showing off a product that's coming out later this year that's kind of crazy. It is a CV to MIDI.
Okay.
There's a lot of really cool MIDI to CV controllers out there for your rack. But this lets you control with your analog equipment your digital stuff. So you can control your DAW from your analog LFOs and whatnot. It has 24 jacks and every one is individually configurable for any MIDI message. Note on, note off, pitch, velocity, aftertouch, MIDI CC, whatever you want.
And is this expected to release sometime soon?
Yeah, the LDB2 coming out like at the end of March, going into production very shortly. The CV to MIDI is around June.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's going to be priced at $295?
$295 for that. Yeah.
Very cool. So you'll be able to control VSTs and everything else.
Exactly. You just hook up your DAW to that, or your vintage synthesizer, and you control all the MIDI CC parameters and pitch.
What sort of limitations do you run into as far as speed of things like LFOs and whatnot?
Yeah, actually this is version 2 of the hardware. Okay. Speed is so important that we actually are doing a method where we have 2 microcontrollers in there, so that we can pull the gates like as fast as possible.
Really?
So it's just a few nanoseconds between pulling the gates because you want that reaction immediately. And then we're pulling all of the analog to digital conversion at a slightly slower rate, but even that, you know, it's like well under a millisecond per pull.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so it does react in real time. You don't get any stair stepping,
Okay,
even
excellent.
with an LFO.
Excellent. And one last thing that I really want to get into is, can you tell us about the sexy gear here?
Yes. Well, my partner Erin, she designs new outfits for the 2 of us every year. In fact, this year we have 3 separate outfits.
Yeah, I noticed the other outfits as well. They're really
So
cool.
the schematics and the knobs, and this is a breadboard, and we've been doing that for a couple years now. And Erin is now gonna have her own geek clothing line.
Awesome. So you guys are going to start offering that out?
So we're gonna offer them to the public now. Yeah.
That's very cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks a lot.
Okay.